5 decisions made money. The 6th commitment is twice as large. What changed? The odds or your confidence? A winning streak can make you check less, decide faster, and treat uncertainty as if it has already been resolved. The results change first, then your behavior follows. Here is the core judgment. Success often changes behavior faster than it changes evidence. That creates a confidence exposure loop. Wins raise confidence. Confidence changes your next action, opportunity, or risk. The new outcome then feeds confidence again. The streak may contain luck. Performance may have improved. Success may also have changed the next attempt. From outside, all 3 look identical. Use one audit. Did the process improve? Did the opportunity improve? Or did only exposure grow? Those questions separate a useful streak from a costly story. Here's the framework in motion. Imagine a small company runs 3 profitable advertising campaigns. The team concludes that it has mastered the platform and proposes a 4th campaign with 4 times the budget. The profits are real, the streak is real, neither fact tells the team what caused them. Under process, the team finds that it began testing messages on a small audience before increasing the budget. That change existed before the wins and removed weak ideas early. It is evidence of a better method. Under opportunity, the team finds that holiday demand and unusually cheap placement improved the last 3 campaigns. Those conditions may not survive into the 4th. This is evidence of a better environment, not necessarily a permanent edge. Under exposure, the team finds that the larger budget cannot be reduced quickly once the campaign begins. The cost of a mistake changed more than the evidence. Now the team can have a useful conversation. It does not need to call the streak luck, and it does not need to treat success as permission. It can preserve the better process, test whether the temporary opportunity remains, and see the larger exposure clearly. That is calibration. The confidence update should match the evidence update, while the commitment should reflect what can still go wrong. Opportunity deserves special attention because conditions do not stay fixed. In markets and businesses, many winning streaks appear inside a favorable regime. Credit may be easy, demand may be strong, customer attention may be cheap, or competitors may be cautious. A decision maker sees repeated success and concludes, "My judgment has improved." The more precise conclusion may be, "My method currently fits these conditions." That is still useful information. A conditional edge can be real. The mistake is turning it into a permanent trait. When the environment changes, the old behavior can keep its confidence long after it loses the conditions that supported it. The person remembers the wins, the exposure remains large, but cheap attention becomes expensive, strong demand weakens, or competition returns. What looked like personal momentum was partly a cycle doing the lifting. This is not a forecast about when any market will turn. It is a judgment rule. Describe the conditions that made the streak possible before you assume the same odds will continue. For each recent win, name one feature of the environment that helped, then ask whether that feature is present in the next decision. If you cannot name the condition, you may be treating a temporary tailwind as a permanent skill. The confidence exposure loop becomes most dangerous at transitions. Confidence is built from the old environment while exposure is carried into the new one. Now we can examine where streak evidence comes from. Start with a simple sequence: heads, 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 heads. It feels like something is happening. Maybe the coin is biased. Maybe the person flipping it has discovered a technique. Maybe tails is now overdue. Each story creates a different expectation for the next flip, but a fair coin has no memory. 4 heads do not make the next head more likely, and they do not make tails more likely. The sequence is dramatic to us, not to the coin. This is the first trap. People often imagine that randomness should look balanced over short distances. Heads should politely alternate with tails. Gains should be interrupted by losses. One kind of song should not appear 3 times in a row. But true randomness is clumpy. It produces runs, droughts, and suspicious-looking patterns without needing a cause. Our minds do the opposite. We compress a small sample into a large conclusion. 3 good outcomes become evidence of talent. 3 bad outcomes become proof that a method is broken. The sequence feels informative because it is vivid, recent, and ours. That tendency helped create one of the most famous arguments in decision science. In 1985, Thomas Gilovich, Robert Vallone, and Amos Tversky examined the belief that basketball players become more likely to make a shot after a run of successful shots. They compared what happened after makes and misses. Their conclusion was provocative. The hot hand was largely an illusion. Fans and players were seeing patterns and sequences that behaved much more like randomness than intuition expected. The idea traveled far beyond basketball. If trained athletes could mistake a random cluster for a change in ability, anyone could. A sales team might believe a representative is unstoppable after 3 deals. A founder might mistake 2 good launches for a permanent formula. A market participant might read a few profitable decisions as evidence of a durable edge. The lesson appeared clean: do not trust streaks. But then, the hot hand story developed its own reversal. Later, researchers noticed a measurement trap. When analysts look only at attempts that follow a streak inside a short sequence, the qualifying situations are not sampled as neutrally as intuition assumes. That can bias the measured success rate after a streak downward. The filter changes the comparison. A modest improvement can disappear inside the method used to detect it, so an analysis may report no hot hand even when a small effect is present. Richer basketball data introduced another correction. A shot is not just a make or a miss. Its difficulty changes with distance, defensive pressure, clock time, location, and the choices a player makes. A confident player may attempt a harder shot. If he performs better but chooses more difficult attempts, the raw shooting percentage can hide the improvement. Once researchers adjusted for problems like selection and shot difficulty, some studies found a hot hand effect that was small but real. That is the important phrase, small but real. The new evidence did not prove that every streak reveals a new level of skill. It showed that the old verdict had been too absolute. Human beings can imagine patterns in randomness, and performance can change across a sequence. Both statements can be true. This is where judgment becomes harder than a slogan. The research gives the loop a boundary. Recent success may be noise, or it may reflect a modest change in performance. The visible sequence cannot tell us which, but once confidence reacts, the streak stops being passive evidence. You may act faster, attempt more, attract attention, receive better opportunities, accept greater difficulty, or commit more money, reputation, or time. Those changes affect the next result and feed confidence again. The sequence is now measuring and modifying behavior at the same time. This explains why a hot streak can become partly self-reinforcing. A creator produces one unusually successful piece. More people now see the next one. Better collaborators return calls. The creator receives more useful feedback and has more room to experiment. The original success may have contained luck, but the opportunities it creates are real. Large studies of artists, film directors, and scientists have found that high-impact work often clusters within a career, but the pattern alone does not tell us why. It may reflect focus, resources, collaboration, reputation, learning, or the way gatekeepers concentrate attention. A cluster is an observation. The causal story still has to be earned. That distinction matters anywhere money is involved. Suppose a decision maker approves 5 projects and all 5 perform well. After the first success, she receives better proposals. After the second, her team responds faster. After the third, senior leadership gives her more authority. Those changes may genuinely improve the quality of her opportunity set. Her next result is not another flip of the same coin. But imagine a different version. The proposals are no better. The review process is unchanged. The only change is that she now skips objections and commits twice as much capital. The streak has not improved her edge. It has expanded her exposure. The visible record is the same, 5 wins. The mechanism underneath is completely different. This is why "I am on a roll" is not yet a useful statement. It combines evidence, emotion, and action into one sentence. Clear judgment requires pulling them apart. Now deepen each part of the audit. First, what changed in the process? Look for a change that existed before the latest outcome. This is not a consequence of feeling confident. It is evidence that your edge may have changed before the streak. Did you obtain better information? Remove a repeated error? Shorten a feedback loop? Improve the way alternatives are compared? A real process change can justify updating your belief, although the size of that update still depends on evidence. "I feel more certain" is not a process change. "I now test the assumption that caused 3 earlier failures" is. Second, what changed in the opportunity? Success can open doors. You may gain access to stronger partners, better data, lower costs, more trust, or more attempts. That can create a genuine positive feedback loop. But opportunity quality and opportunity quantity are not the same. Receiving more offers does not mean the average offer is better. Ask whether the next attempt has improved conditions or merely greater visibility. Third, what changed in the exposure? This is the question most likely to disappear during a winning streak. Are you putting more money at risk? Is the decision harder to reverse? Are you making more attempts in less time? Has one favorable outcome become necessary to protect your reputation? Exposure can rise silently because success makes the larger commitment feel natural. The mind treats the new scale as a reward for being right. But being right 5 times does not make the cost of being wrong disappear. Notice the asymmetry. A small improvement in skill can coexist with a large increase in risk. Your edge might improve a little while your exposure doubles. You can be genuinely better and still become less well-calibrated. That is the winning streak trap. The purpose of the audit is not to suppress confidence. Confidence can be productive. It can help someone use a real opportunity, tolerate uncertainty, and act when endless analysis would become avoidance. The purpose is to keep confidence attached to the mechanism that earned it. One practical way to do that is to record the next decision before you know its outcome. Write down what you believe has improved. Name the evidence, state what would come against your explanation, then record how much exposure you are accepting. This creates a snapshot of judgment before the result edits your memory. Afterward, do not grade only the outcome. Grade the reasoning that was available at the time. A good result can follow a weak process. A bad result can follow a sound process. If you reward only the outcome, every lucky win trains you to take more risk, and every unlucky loss trains you to abandon discipline. The hot hand debate survived for decades because the evidence became better and the question became more precise. Researchers moved from visible streaks to selection effects to shot difficulty to changing context. Our own decisions deserve the same progression. Do not stop at the sequence. Inspect the conditions that produced it. Return to the opening. 5 decisions made money, and the 6th commitment is twice as large. Perhaps the first 5 wins attracted better opportunities. Perhaps your process removed a real source of error. If so, there may be new evidence underneath the confidence. Or perhaps nothing changed except the size of the story you are telling yourself. The streak cannot answer that question. Only the mechanism can. So remember one line the next time success begins to feel like certainty. Do not ask whether your hand is hot. Ask whether your edge improved faster than your exposure. That is how a winning streak becomes information instead of permission.